morning, Sonder fam. Welcome to our Saturday morning weekly setup. For those of you who may not know, my name is Bailey Grady, and I am dialing in from a place called Hendersonville, Tennessee, which is just north of the Nashville area. And I'm excited to be here with you all today. I see lots of familiar names in the chat. Welcome, welcome. Good to be here with all of you. And then if you are new, if this is like your first social, first setup, or maybe this is your first month, feel free to say like, hey, that's me in the chat. We would love to give you like a special little hello, big warm welcome, not just me, but everybody here, because we get really excited whenever we have new folks joining us in our little community here. So we have an amazing community when it comes to the Sonder fam, which includes like our broader Sonder family, right? But we also have like a really, I feel like, fairly tight-knit, great individual, smaller community here in our Sonder socials. So we're always excited when we get new folks. So yay, hi Linda, welcome to kind of be a part of this like little mini community that we have where we meet all together. Yes, Nicole is sharing if anybody is in the Columbus, Ohio area. Nicole, who is one of our long-term community members, is actually doing a little in-person meetup on August 2nd. She just shared the information in the chat. So if you're in the Columbus, Ohio area and you're available August 2nd, definitely go hang out with Nicole and some other Sonder fam members. Sorry, this is Groot. He wanted to say hello, apparently. But as we go through today, you will be seeing some tips and tricks up on the screen, but you'll also be seeing some really cool examples and things as well and hanging out in the chat. So speaking of the chat, you'll want to make sure that that is set to everyone so that you can share what this wonderful little micro community we have here. Sometimes it defaults to host and panelists, and when it does that, only myself and Katie, who is my right-hand lady today in the chat, only she and I will be able to see what you have to share, and we want you to be able to share with the group. So make sure that that is set to everyone. And as we go through, if you see anything up on the screen that you want to snap a photo of or, take a screenshot, please feel free to do so. We'll also share a link at the end where you can find the recording of this and all of our other socials. So if you ever have to join late or leave early or can't attend, those recordings take a couple days to show up, but they will show up. So you can always go back and take a peek at stuff as well. We're going to run through our community guidelines real quick. So first and foremost, please be kind and courteous to yourself and to others. No promotions or spam, please. We're going to respect everyone's privacy here and no hate speech or bullying, of course. That's always crazy to me that like we have to say that, right? But like, we do. And then we're going to try to limit repetitive product and accessory questions. We're going to have a little chat about some kind of new things here in a second. So if you've got something you want to ask about like features or, favorite pins or stickers, that'll be a great time to do that. But once we move out of the little community corner spot, we'll want to focus on the task at hand just because we only get an hour together. And then anything that myself or Katie cannot assist with will redirect you to the team over at headquarters at hello@silkandsander.com so that they can get you taken care of. And finally, Sonder Socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community. That's you all. But you're responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So as we move through today, if something bubbles up and it's, maybe it's unexpected, like that happens, right? Sometimes emotions can like surprise us, they're like that family member sometimes that just shows up for a visit that you weren't expecting. And sometimes it's a good thing, right? Like you're happy to see the family member, you want to sit down, you want to catch up. And we're here to support you if that's how you're feeling when those emotions bubble up. But also, maybe it's not a welcome visit. And if it's not a welcome visit and you're not ready to engage with those emotions today, that's okay too. You can take a break. You do not have to tackle that right now. You can come back to it later. So I mentioned Community Corner. So this is a new thing that I'm going to try to do in my socials so that like we can kind of make sure that you all are hearing about all the different new things that are going on with personalized coaching in the Silk and Sonder app, on the Silk and Sonder Instagram. Like there's so much stuff out there right now, and it's honestly hard to keep up with it all. It's hard for me to keep up with it all. So this is kind of going to be like our virtual community bulletin board of like, hey, if you haven't heard, this is happening. So, first and foremost, they are doing another 14-day free trial of the personalized coaching. There is a credit card required, but you can cancel after the 14 days. And of course, there is a 30-day money back guarantee. If you haven't already tried personalized coaching or you haven't signed up for it yet, this is a great time to kind of give it a go. And then, of course, you can cancel if it's not for you. I use it every single week in my setup, and you'll kind of see how I interweave that in as we go through. For those of you that have already signed up for personalized coaching, there is an upcoming new feature. There's going to be this fun activity where you get to kind of like do a prompt and think about your life as a movie and kind of some more fun things that are tied into your specific personality type. So those kind of personalized activities are coming. Also, brand new, this is live. So if you're in the coaching, you can now update your wheel of life. If you scroll down to where your wheel of life is in your personality profile, there's a little update button. I'm very excited about this. I've been waiting for this update because my wheel of life is very out of date. So I'm excited to be able to go back and update mine. So you could do that now. Also live is the new feature with text to speech journaling prompts. Obviously, we love pen to paper here at Silk and Sonder, but sometimes, you got to multitask and sometimes you need to like do a little journal prompt while you're, walking the neighborhood, and it's just easier to like talk it out, right? And I think it can be just as beneficial. I think it's better than not doing it at all. So it's nice to have that option just in case that's what you need, right? Also, in August, we're going to have another exclusive event. It's going to be Rewrite Your Fairy Tale. It sounds really appealing to me because you guys know I love fairy tales. So be sure to check that out. And then there is a new human design daily ritual in the Silk and Sonder app. So if you haven't seen that one yet, go take a peek at it. There's so many daily rituals in there and mini meditations and all kinds of stuff in the Sonder Club app. I was in there the other night and I hadn't gone into like the library in a while. And I was honestly like, I couldn't believe how much stuff is in there now. So definitely check out the library area in your Sonder Club app and check out everything that's in there. And speaking of Silk and Sonder and Sonder Club, Silk and Sonder also has an Instagram page. Obviously, there's a ton of good stuff in the app, but if you're on Instagram, be sure to follow Silk and Sonder. They're always posting really fun things like these 7 journal prompts for your mid-year reset. They had this fun little pick your dream journaling escape thing with like all these like really amazing looking locations to journal. So if you're on Instagram, definitely give them a follow. So that's our little community corner for today. Now we'll get into our agenda for spending time with our journal. So first, we're going to do our last Independence Mind Map. For those of you who may not know, the Mind Map is an activity that we do every week in the weekly setups. It is unique just to the weekly setups where we kind of engage with our theme for the month. And this is our last week with Independence, so we will do that. And then we're going to do a rosebud thorn activity, kind of thinking about the last 7 days and reflecting on that before we get ourselves ready to move into the next 7 days ahead. So, independence. Wow, it's been a big theme. I think a lot of you have really enjoyed this, not just because it's been like encouraging for you, but for some of you, it's really been an opportunity to kind of like dig deep, right? And like think about how to make sure that you're moving through independence with balance. If you've been in any of my weeklies, this month we've talked about that a little bit and about how sometimes a new theme doesn't always mean that you need to increase that thing in your life. Sometimes it's about making sure that you have a healthy relationship with that thing. And I know for a lot of us that experience like that hyper independence where we're more resistant to like help, we still kind of have that mindset of like, I'll do it myself, like that independent little kid, that we all know. It's been a good opportunity for us to like re-examine and say, okay, where is that coming from? How can I accept help when I need it? Because sometimes the way that we become independent, it starts with asking for help, right? We have to have more balance. We have to learn new skills so that we feel empowered so that we can do things ourselves. And some of those things you can't do alone. So I think this has been an awesome theme to kind of engage with. And whether you were on the side of like really empowering yourself and increasing that independence and like, digging into that courage and trying new things, or if you're doing the same but trying to pull back more, I hope that you have found this to be an insightful month. So for our last independence mind map, you're going to want to flip to a blank page or space, or if you have a specific page where you've been doing your mind map, flip over to that page. And we're going to explore our last prompt around the different facets of independence. So this week, we are going to identify one skill or area where you'd like to become more self-reliant. This could be anything from a more practical skill like cooking or minor home repairs to an emotional one like self-soothing or problem solving independently. What is one concrete action you can take this week to develop this skill further and reduce your dependence on others for it? So, here's my little mind map and some quotes and things. And don't worry, I will hop back to that screen if you need it, but the prompt itself is in the center there as well. And so what I said when I did this is I said finding in-person community is the thing that I would like to kind of work and grow on. I have some wonderful friends and communities like Sonder Club, but a lot of them are only online or they're very far away. And, my husband is an extrovert and he's always making new friends. And like I often make new friends through him. And, that's awesome. I love that. But I also want some people that are just my peeps. So I think that this week needs to be the week that I finally plan my in person Sonder Social. I have had it on the list for several months. I did finally find a space, and that was kind of a big holdup for me. So this week I need to sit and look at my calendar and pick a date and get it scheduled because I would love to be able to meet some of you in person and kind of bring this amazing community into the real life. So I think that that's what I want to do as you're engaging with this prompt, we do have that wheel of life at the front of this journal, right? Maybe flip to that if you're not sure. Maybe one of those areas has a skill or something that you can, focus on to help grow independence if it was one of those lower areas. Also, this quote in the top right, it says, independent learning requires mutual trust between learners and teachers. Obviously, this is about being in the classroom, right? But to me, I think it was still a great quote because, like, sometimes you are the learner and the teacher. Like, you have to teach yourself something. And so you need to make sure that you trust yourself. You believe in yourself to do this new thing, and that it's okay if you're not perfect the first time that you do it, right? And just have trust that you'll get it and have commitment with yourself to try new things. And then we've got this little graphic on the left of things that it's not too late for: healing, being kind, starting over, working on yourself, etc. Because it's never too late, and all of us need practice to do anything new. So just make sure that you're trusting yourself, giving yourself encouragement to tackle whatever it is you want that new focus to be. So I will hop back and forth between these slides, and I'll put on some music for you all while you think about your answer to this prompt. Feel free to share in the chat what's coming up for you if you feel comfortable. And then we'll move into our next activity. There we go. Sorry about that. Zoom did not want me to click those buttons and come back to you. If you're still working on this, that is okay. No worries. You keep on working. Thank you all so much for spending some time with this and sharing a bit in the chat. I saw a couple like variety of answers coming through, and I know one answer in particular. Jennifer was talking about how, they recently started a new job, and that's always like a hard thing to be in, I think, because just everything is new. Like everything is new. The people are new, the processes are new. Like even if you have like the skills and stuff, obviously, like to be there, it's just every place has its own way of doing things. It's like another micro community, that kind of stuff. So totally valid to want to try to just work on integrating yourself into that new space. So thank you all so much for spending time with that. We're now going to hop over to our rose bud thorn exercise. So if you are still in your July journal, because I know some of you may have already hopped on over to August potentially, or if you just signed up with us, August may be the journal that you have, which is totally okay. But if you're still in the July journal, this is going to be on page 50. If you're in the August journal, there isn't going to be a specific spot for this, but that's okay. You can just do it on any little blank area, the scratch page of the weekly, whatever floats your boat. But we're going to be thinking about last week, the last 7 days, and reflecting on a rose, bud, and thorn. So a rose is something that went well, maybe something you're grateful for, something that made you smile. It could be something really simple like, the dewdrops on the window are really pretty, or it could be, thank goodness that the week is over. So it doesn't have to be like major or huge, but it's also okay if it is major or huge. We want to celebrate those things together. A bud is what could bloom, something you're looking forward to, what gives you hope, motivation, and inspiration right now. It could be something on the horizon that maybe you feel a little anxious about as well. We're happy to encourage and support whichever is needed. And then a thorn, something that didn't go well, something that, was challenging or stressful, that maybe is a little bit hard or tough. And we want to be able to kind of support you through that. So if you feel comfortable sharing these in the chat, we would love to hear your rosebud and thorn. I always like to do mine in reverse. So my thorn is just, I have been very stressed, mostly work things. It's one of those things where I've been involved in some unsustainable processes, and we knew from the beginning that they were unsustainable, but it has gone on much longer than anticipated. And so I am now reaching a point of burnout and all the things. And I'm using my tools, and it's good, but it's also just hard. So that's my thorn. My bud is that next week I am stage managing, meaning I'll be hanging out in the chat, a monthly setup social with Maya. I haven't done a monthly in a while, so I'm looking forward to that. And then my rose is that with the stress and the burnout and everything, I opened up and asked for help and let people in. I talked to my boss, and she actually had some really great suggestions. I leaned on my team and kind of like was transparent with them, and I truly don't know what I would do without them right now. And I also like opened up to my husband, and he was like, "What? My gosh, I didn't realize you were even that stressed." Like he was like, "I thought it was just normal, like frustrations and everything." I am very good at masking how stressed I am, sometimes even from myself. So it's really hard for me to like tap in and realize what's going on and then communicate that with other people. But I did, and it helped so much. And I am still like in a place of stress, but I can see like the light at the end of the tunnel. Like there are going to be things that are happening next week that I think are going to help alleviate a lot of things. So that's my rose, bud, and thorn. So I'll put on some music for you all, and so you can think about this. And again, if you're comfortable sharing in the chat, we would love to hear your rosebuds and thorns. I love doing this exercise together every week because it kind of just gives us a little glimpse into what's going on in each other's little worlds.
And it's all because I'm working on my energy.
That's not the song I meant to play. We're going to put on a different one. 1 second here. Thank you all so much for sharing. Please continue to share in the chat if you are still sharing. Like I said, this is one of my favorite things that we get to do together because we kind of get to just see what's going on. And so much of the time, like we are going through some of the similar, like tough moments, or somebody else has been there before and like understands, right? This is one of the benefits of having that like broader community. And it's so nice to have this little group of amazing people to like cheer you on through those happy spots and help you feel like good and excited about those upcoming things. So thank you all for sharing. Please continue to do so. We are going to hop into our main event, which if you are in your July journal, should be pages 52 and 53. And then if you're going to go ahead and start in your August journal, it looks like you'll be on page 26 and 27. I am in the July journal still, as you can see from my screenshots there, because since August doesn't start until Friday, like most of the week is still in July, so that's where I am going. I'll probably get my August journal set up maybe this weekend before I do the social with Maya. We'll see. So we're going to kind of dive through each one of these sections together, starting on page either 26 or 52, whichever one you have, with the how I want to feel section. Now, my how I want to feel is like taped off because I always just focus on my word of the year here, which is serenity. And usually I say something like, oh, I'm going to invite serenity in by or encourage serenity in this week by doing X, Y, and Z. But this week, I just need serenity. That's what I need. That's how I need to feel with everything that's going on and all the stress and stuff. So I am just claiming that as my feeling this week, as well as my usual word of the year focus. There are some other words there for inspiration in the word cloud for you. And then I also have these super fun examples from all of you in Sonder Club. And don't worry, as we go through, when I hop to another slide, I'll put on some music and then I'll hop between slides. So if I move from something, don't worry, I'll go back to it. But I'll put on a quick song for you all now so you can think about what you want to feel as you move into the week ahead. And you can see from these examples that like there's no right or wrong way to do this. You can pick one word, you can pick multiple words, you can do a quote, whatever is speaking to you in this moment. All right. We are now going to hop down to the center of that same page, looking at our weekly to-dos and weekly major 3 goals. Those of you who have been with me a while know that this is where my personalized coach starts to kind of come into play. So with the personalized coaching platform, you can pick how often you want like your plans delivered, and I have mine delivered weekly. And one of the things it comes with is 3 affirmations. So those become my 3 weekly affirmations. And so instead of putting like a goal or something in the major weekly 3, I put my affirmations there. I used to put goals and things and areas of focus in there, and it just didn't work for me. It was just kind of me filling in a box. These affirmations work much better for me. And then over on the weekly to-dos, I use the little calendar to keep up with like what appointments and things I have going on for the week. And then I usually try to come up with 3 very broad, very loose, like to-dos or focuses that tie in to those affirmations. So, for example, I design my future with intention and embrace my life's evolving path with confidence. My goal that goes with that is just breathe, just making time to just sit and be and breathe and kind of, give my mind space to even have intention and do those things. So here's some other examples where people have decided to kind of mirror, or not mirror, but marry these spaces together, if you will. So you can decide to pick like 3 areas of focus for your weekly major 3, and then you could have to-dos that sort of support those areas of focus. You could be like this really pretty example on the left where they kind of tied everything in together. Like they said, for how I want to feel, they want to nurture themselves, and that is watering these flowers that have 3 areas of focus on them, like creativity and mindfulness and physical well-being. And then they've got their to-dos to support those areas, and then habits and activities to make those to-dos a reality. So you can intertwine all kinds of areas here if you want to, but you do not have to. You can also leave these completely separate. When you are doing your to-do section, it might be helpful to use the tools like the Eisenhower Decision Matrix or the Pomodoro technique, and make sure that you're kind of weaving those into your week and your strategies. If you have a lot of things that you need to get done, those can help you set priority and then make sure they actually get started. But you do not have to be focused on productivity. You can always be focused on self and, mindfulness and things like that. So you could also try a to-be list, a need, want, hope list. If you need kind of a combination between the two, a to-do list is maybe a good thing to try. Instead of writing down all the things you need to do, you write down things as you get them done. And so it's kind of a mindset shift where at the end of the week, instead of seeing what you did or didn't do, you see everything that you did get done. So that could kind of be a good in between to try. You all know we love a bingo here at Silph and Sonder. So if you want to turn either of these spaces into a bingo board, go for it. I love the idea of this like embrace and release for weekly to-dos. I might need to switch it up and try that at some point to help with this like stress and things. Also like the do's and don'ts and the little mental health corner. Y'all know I love a good mental health moment. As always, stickers and doodles are always welcome. And this is a good place to carve out routines and set new plans and things as well. I always say if it makes you smile, it's doing something. So just because a section is here does not mean you have to fill it in. If it doesn't feel right to you, if you don't have something that belongs there, just leave it blank. Or if you're like, what I'd really like to do is put a sticker here, or what I really like to do is put a quote here, then do that. Again, as long as it's making you smile or it's giving you encouragement, it is serving a purpose. It doesn't have to serve the purpose that is outlined there on the page originally. It's your journal, so do whatever makes sense to you. You can dive into different areas of focus for those weekly major 3. You can do affirmations or self-care focus like I do. You could support that how you want to feel, like we talked about at the very beginning, or just set normal goals and accountability things. But again, don't be afraid to switch it up. Like some people have like flip-flop the to-dos in the major weekly 3 because the major weekly 3 has like the grid lines and that's easier for a to-do list. Some people put their to-dos all the way on the other page. They use the what says the meal plan for that. So don't be afraid to rearrange and do things differently. Again, it's all about what works for you and what you need. So I'll go ahead and put on some music for you all, and I'll hop back through all of these slides, and then we'll move into our next section together. All right, we're hopping down to the bottom of that same page, checking in with the habit and activity section. I am still doing my stress check-in here. It's definitely been going well for me. I think it's one of the reasons I have been able to kind of keep myself out of full burnout is being able to recognize what's going on like so quickly and just how stressed out I am. And I do not think I would have really gotten there without doing this check in every day. So I'm going to continue to do that for myself. But you could do any variety of things here. You can do actual habits and activities. Now, some of you might be like, well, I already have the monthly habit wheel. Like, why do I need this? And you might not. It just depends on you and what works for you. We typically said that your monthly habit wheel are things that you want to do every single day versus this section, you may have like something that you just want to do a couple times a week. So then putting it into that monthly habit wheel isn't quite as satisfying because, it's kind of like random versus this is a great place to put something like that because you can say like, oh, I want to do this 3 times a week, I want to do it 7 times, I want to do it once. Or maybe you just want to track something and kind of see how it goes. Maybe it's more like data gathering than habit building, and so rather than setting a goal of how many times you want to do something, you just want to see how often you're able to do it or track how often something comes up. It could be beneficial for that. Or you may be somebody that, like, week to week, things change so much that that monthly habit wheel doesn't really work for you right now. And so this may be the best place for you to track those habits and things for yourself. If you are going to set like goals, you could try also incorporating a reward system. You could also try to use this to break habits that you don't want to continue. I know that I did it for like trying to stop biting my nails once, and it actually worked pretty well. This can also be a good spot to establish a new routine. And as always, just because there is a line there does not mean you have to fill it in. You could put literally one thing in this section if that's the thing that needs the focus. You could also try focusing on activities rather than habits. I know that we're in the last week of July now, which is wild to say. So summer is sort of, starting to sunset. But if you want to soak up those last little moments, if you're able to, you can lean into this little summer self-care menu, which is one of the things that came from Instagram, from the Silk and Center Instagram. So that's one of those cute things that they post every now and then. You could track something to sort of like say goodbye to summer. Maybe you're already like, ugh, I'm done with summer. I'm ready for fall. So maybe you want to go ahead and start leaning into like getting all your fall things ready or like leaning into the summer ween and stuff like that. You could use this for connection with others as well. Like maybe you have a group of folks that you need to check in with. I know that I can be really bad about like out of sight, out of mind when it comes to checking in on people. So writing it down in my journal and being like, oh, I need to set something up with this person or I need to check in with them on this, etc., helps me to show up in the way that I intend to with my important people in my life. You could also use this as a place to track other activity within your journal. So, like making sure that you are filling in that habit wheel, that you're doing your mood tracker, that you're doing your gratitude list, and all of those things. Or if you are like me and you are using the personalized coach, this could be a great place to incorporate your interactions with that plan as well. So, I'll put on another song for you and then we'll move into our next section. All right, we are hopping over to our next page, which is either going to be page 53 in July or 27 in August. We are starting with the section titled Meal Plan. Now, this section gets repurposed a lot, not because having a meal plan is like a negative thing. It's just depending on what your goals are. I mean, it could be a really great thing, it'd be exactly what you need. But it just takes up a lot of real estate in the journal, and because it has this like Monday through Sunday little box format, it's just so good for so many things. And so some people will repurpose this and then they'll do like their meal planning or tracking in another space. I use mine for tracking my work meetings, so that really helps to keep me together and organized. And sometimes it's just literally faster for me to flip to a page in my journal than it is to like open my Outlook and open my calendar and see what's happening when I need to know if I need to run away from somebody's desk or if I have 10 minutes to talk to them. So it helps me a lot, but I don't typically work on the weekends. So I also have sort of a little activity bank there at the bottom to help me kind of maybe spend a little bit of time on some projects and things on the weekends. Here are some other examples. You can see where somebody has used this as a meal plan or a meal tracker, but also there's this whole list of things here. You could use it for tracking symptoms or something to do with health. If you are in school or if you are trying to like learn new skills and you're doing any sort of like a program with that, this could be a good place for that. If you think about back to the beginning of our social when we talked about whatever that skill is that you want to kind of like improve upon to increase that independence, this might be a place where you can help carve out space for that and making sure that happens this week. You could put your affirmations here, just all sorts of things. The sky is the limit. I love this combo of like using like the text with like the stickers for today's number one. I love these different journal prompts, and I really like the idea of putting to-dos over here. I've never done it, but one day I think I will because I like seeing it over here. I think it makes sense to me. And then if you are using that personalized coaching platform, this could also be a good place to do some of those activities and things. So I'll put on some music for you all, and then we will head into our next section. Yes, there we go. It would help if I unmuted myself. Thank you. I was just saying, I don't know what happened. I think maybe my internet dropped briefly because it did something weird to my music, but no worries. One second and we'll get it all pulled up here. Just Zoom being Zoom and wanting a little bit of attention as she does. Okay, let me get this here too. Okay, can everybody see the screen and hear me and all of that good stuff? Yes. Okay, great. Perfect. Well, hopefully you were able to ramp up this section. I know Zoom decided that we were done with this section. So we are now going to hop over to the Mind Body Health Plan and the shopping list. So I know a lot of folks kind of use these sections sort of interchangeably, just because a lot of you use something different for shopping list or you don't have a need for shopping list. So that space kind of becomes free for all. And the same kind of happens with the mind body health, because sometimes there's already so much mind body health focus going on in other areas of the journal that you need this sort of space to be fun and different. I like to change my mind body health plan to just mind body health. Having that like word plan there just it stresses me out. It probably shouldn't, but it does. So I just cover it up. So in my mind body health section last week, I started trying to keep track of making sure I'm taking all my medicines. I recently added in a new one, and like the scheduling of everything is interesting. Like I have thyroid medicine, and for those of you that have that, you probably know it's like it has to be taken first thing in the morning, but then like you can't take this thing with it, and then it needs to be like 4 hours before you do anything else or whatever. So adding in something new can be interesting. So I'm tracking that. I'm also tracking like how many days I'm getting like at least 7 hours of sleep. Am I moving? And am I making time to breathe? And I'm already tracking some of these things in other places of my journal as well. But I think seeing everything all in one spot like this for mind body health specifically is going to be interesting. And then for my shopping list, I do have like a running list of like things I intend to buy at some point, but not anytime soon. And it just helps me not like impulse buy, because sometimes if I don't write it down, I forget. And so then sometimes I buy things when I don't need to because I'm afraid that I'll forget to buy them otherwise. And then underneath the little shopping list, I have a running list of like larger to-dos, big projects, again, things that there's no way they're getting done this week, but I don't want to forget about them. And so I kind of just keep them there to make sure I don't forget. So here are some other ideas of how you can use these sections. Of course, you can use them as intended. You can do all kinds of mind body health things, or a shopping list, but you can repurpose it to be quotes. You can do a packing list. Word of the day. Oh, Nicole, I know you were talking about being on vacation. Maybe you can like plan your wardrobe for the week to be like vacation wardrobe, like the same way you would if you were like packing for a trip or something. Um, you can do cleaning charts here, bingo boards, all kinds of good things. They're just two really good little boxes that you could do whatever you want with them. If you are going to actually make like a mind body health plan, like if you are going to use it as a plan, please make sure that you are carving out some time for rest. Rest is arguably the most important action we can do for anything, because it's the one thing you have to do anything else. And if you are getting tons of physical rest, but you're still feeling exhausted, you might need a different kind of rest. There are 7 types, if you didn't know. They are listed over here to the right. So sometimes it's like you're sleeping a ton and you're resting a ton, but you still feel exhausted. And maybe it's because like you need like to sensory unplug, or maybe you need to get outside, or maybe you need to do something creative that's not problem solving, right? Maybe you need to get your hands on some like arts and crafts and things like that. So definitely check in with yourself there. And then here are some other examples of how you can use this space. I love all the little sticker collections. If you do anything on a weekly basis, whether it's like tarot card pulls or affirmations or sitting with scripture, whatever it is that, is a part of your daily life or rituals. Maybe it is the daily rituals with Silk and Sonder. This could be a good space to incorporate those as well. So I'll put on yet another song for you all. And then if you can believe it, it'll be time for us to close out our time together. It always goes by so fast. Maybe that's why Zoom tried to close. It was just sad that it was almost over. All right. If you can believe it, that is the end of our time together. As we're closing out, if you would like to share one thing that you are loving, we would love to see it. I know what I wrote in my journal is that I'm loving my team at work and at home because they are certainly helping me out with all of my stress. And you guys are a part of that team too. So thank you all so much for being here today and for sharing and spending some time with yourself, but also here in community. We would love for you to share your weekly planner if you feel comfortable, whatever you got set up today, whatever you're working on. And not only would we love to see it in Sonder Club, but also definitely feel free to share on Instagram and tag Silk and Sonder. I think that they're wanting to maybe try to do some like fun like challenges or like I don't know. I don't know. They're gonna do some fun like focus things I think on Instagram at some point. So definitely feel free to engage with that. New things coming on the horizon. But also always love to see your stuff in Sonder Club as well. I'm gonna share real quick all of the links that were mentioned at the beginning and our little community corner time together. And I'll also share, not that slide. I'll also share my playlist with you all. It is just like my one giant master list of all of my crazy songs and things. But definitely feel free to take a look if that is what you need. The personalized coaching platform we talked about and that 14-day free trial link is up there at the top. Definitely take advantage of that if you have not already. But thank you all so much for being here with us today. It is always just the best start to any morning. And until we see you again, I hope you have a great week ahead and we'll see you all in Sonder Club. Be good to yourself and to each other.
You're more than enough, than enough. You think you need a body next to you to keep you warm and safe and bulletproof. Guess you got comfy in the crazy, cozy in the hazy. Lies started sounding like truth. You're feeling stuck inside this vicious loop where codependence like it's super glue. So scared to face all of the changes. You're nothing but anxious. Really, what do you have to lose? Somewhere deep inside your soul, still that child you used to know. Might be wounded, you're not broke. Listen, listen close. Who told you you were hard to love? Hard to love. Who told you you weren't good enough? Good enough. Who broke your heart and made you believe that you won't be anything without her? Watch out, I break them down. Who stole all of your happiness? Happiness. Who almost pushed you off the edge? Off the edge. Don't need their arms to make you complete. Don't take a genius to see that you are. Baby, you are more than enough. You're more than enough, than enough. So raise a glass to all the baby steps, for not giving up when you were scared to death. You've been through hell and high